So we left off the last video with everything sorted out in the machine. I've just noticed that's under quite a bit of tension. If I lower this down here slightly, it gives that a bit of slack, so that's not going to be under quite so much tension. So we left the video with all of the belts on the underside replaced. We've also done a bit of careful greasing of some of the main moving parts. And what we're going to do now is to put everything back together, starting with this circuit board. So all of the screws are pretty much identical, to be honest with you, so I'm going to go in with this one. I don't know if you can see this, but on here there are marks of solder. There's marks of solder here, marks of solder here, here, and under this one, but not on this one. Now, my understanding is there is a large track running under each of these, and either provides an earth to the chassis of the machine, or it's for some kind of interference suppression. I'm not sure which one it is, but it's always advisable to make sure that if you are going to be missing a screw somewhere, you don't miss the screws on the points that have those blobs of solder on, because they do or can affect the overall operation of the machine. Whilst we're actually here, we can have a look at a lot of these solder joints and see how they're looking. If there are any particularly dull, non-shiny solder joints, then it's probably a good idea to get some solder onto those. So remove the solder that's there at the moment, replace and resolder, but it looks like this is mostly okay. It's got some of that weird brown stuff on it that seems that sort of resiny type stuff you get on older circuit boards. I've been told that that can become conductive, so it's probably a good idea to get that cleaned up at some point. I need to investigate how to do that, but for now we're going to leave that and not worry about it too much. So, base cover, we're going to go in from back with those two corner pieces I was talking about earlier. You can see those going in, and we are pretty much square over the 1, 2, 3, 4 points there. So screw the bottom plate in place. So we've got 1, 2, 3. Nah. But that's annoying. Loosen these ones off a bit. And that should give me enough, there you go, enough leeway to move the bottom cover so that can go into place. Go on, there we go. Now, I want to do it. And the final one there. Okay. So we'll do this one here. This one was causing us the most trouble. It's in place. There we go, that one's dialed in. And this one, and this final one. And we're all together. So flip the unit over. And another prime area for a little bit of grease. Not a huge amount, but just enough to keep it lubricated. In fact, that motor is over 40 years old. The 28th of September 1979. I was born on the 27th of July 1979. So this machine is pretty much the same age as me, which is quite fun. So this is the sort of technology that would have been around when I was born. And when I was born, this was the height of technology. This was our, you know, sod going to the moon or anything like that. This was our crowning achievement. Recording moving images on magnetic cellophane. That was where it was at that time. To be able to record something and then watch it later was a huge deal back in the late 70s, early 80s. In fact, if you go as far back as the Philips 1500 and 1700, which came quite a way before VHS and Betamax, that was known as a 3/4 inch format, so the tape was that size. Betamax and VHS are known as 1/2 inch, so obviously the tape is 1/2 inch. U-matic and VCR, the VCR format, so N15 and N1700s were 3/4 inch because they used 3/4 inch tape material. So obviously the width was 3/4 of an inch wide. But with VHS, we had a 1/2 inch format, which brought increased recording times over the 2 hours that you could get on the VCR format. It brought into the home up to 3 hours of recording time, and with later tapes it brought up to 4 hours, and obviously with long play you had up to a total of 8 hours recording time. I have seen some E300 cassettes. In fact, I do have a couple of E300 cassettes which were, oh god, how long were they? They were 5 hours in length. They were ridiculously long cassettes. So in standard play they would have been giving you 5 hours recording time. Long play you had 10 hours recording time, and it certainly made them sort of ideal candidates if you were going on holiday and you had a machine that had more than one event timer. You could load it up with everything that you wanted to record and then come home and you got 10 hours worth of, potentially 10 hours worth of viewing to enjoy. All those episodes of Brookside, the omnibus edition, usually on a Saturday afternoon. If you didn't get enough of Brookside during the week, you could enjoy Brookside at the weekend on a Saturday afternoon for the omnibus edition, which, I'll be honest, I am guilty of watching many a time. So I was quite a fan of Brookside up until probably the late 90s when it turned a bit stupid. Never watched any of the newer early 2000 episodes. I mean, for me it sort of ended around, I don't know, probably 1996 or 7. And then the storylines just got too far-fetched. Anyway, we're coming down here. Ever so gently, because I don't want to knock this screw off. If I do, it'd be very annoying. Got to press the cradle in slightly to get it to lock into the hole, which it just has. And it's also trapped my finger, which is annoying. There we go. I think that's in place. I always tend to do the diagonally opposed ones first because it allows you to get the cradle nice and straight. And the way I do it is I look down into the cradle and I make sure that the holes that the spools will go through are sort of pretty much in the centre, or the spools are pretty much in the centre of those holes. Ah, that's annoying, that one's dropped in. easily. Yes. What you can do, actually, this might make life a bit easier, as we don't really have a magnetic screwdriver here, we can use a bit of that grease on the end of the screwdriver, pop this onto there, and immediately you've got something that will stick like that. So you don't want to do it anywhere where you're going near rubber belts or pulleys, but for here it's mostly fine. I've just lodged it out slightly. Let's try that again. Couldn't find it latching. Find. I think she's in. Yep, she's in. Final one is up there. So we've got this one. Straight down into there. So back to video formats, U-matic pretty much became the de facto professional standard throughout the 1980s. It was superseded by Betacam through the late 80s, through into the noughties actually. The Betacam went through several generations. Early Betacam cassettes were the same format size as Betamax. In fact, they shared the same shell design, and you could use early oh, that's annoying. The eject thing is, oh, where's that gone? Oh, have I just not, oh, I did this last time. What did I do wrong? Yeah, so early Betacam cassettes would work in Betamax machines. That's eject. No, that's not eject. That's something else. Yeah, so they would work in Betamax machines quite nicely. Later Betacam cassettes, although physically the same size on the sort of standard size versions, would fit into a Betamax machine. The tape material was a lot more abrasive, so it's not recommended to use those in later decks. If you do, you risk almost pretty much grinding your heads down because they are quite a tough formulation. I think I need to take this out again because I put this down and I haven't thought through where the eject is supposed to go. I've done this incorrectly. Let's take it out again. I'm sure there's the way to do this without removing it. To save you having to watch this process again, I'm just going to pause the video. This is probably actually worth showing. So you see this bar here. On there you have that little flappy bit there. And can you see under the flappy bit, immediately down the bottom of the machine, is another little lever. So make sure that's centered over the lever. And if you press eject, once this is in position, what it should do just need to realign it slightly, so we need to come in like so. So it's underneath there, press and eject. Which I think I've just popped it out a bit, so if I push that back in, make sure the cradle sits with the spring over the back plate there. That should hang on, I know exactly what I've done. That needs to go, I don't know if you can see it in there, because it really is quite difficult to get a good look at it. There, you see that there? That's got to go behind. So if I bring this up again, the spring on the back of this effectively, so the spring on the back here causes this to bring that eject button back in. So if you press the eject button now, it's still doing the same. Is it behind? No, it's not behind yet. So yeah, it's still in front, that's why. That's gone too far back now. So there, I think it's too far forward. It's a bit of a fiddly one, so come back there. So that's fully there, put that there. I'm hoping, nah, it still does that. So I'm just going to pause it again and get that into position properly. Slightly mistaken. You do need to have the front tab over the lever, but the metal spring needs to sit up against that metal back panel. So when you press eject, the whole thing moves and the whole eject button comes back into place. If I press this down, there you go. Right, I'll get this reassembled and we'll be back shortly. So we're reassembled. We have an eject that works. Got the deck powered on. See what it does for a tape. Tries to play and then stops. Let's try fast forward. That works very well. Let's try playing it again. And that's a mystery for another day. I need to do a bit of reading up to see why it's doing that. So it starts to play, seems to go into a state of shutdown, and just basically shuts down. Why is it doing that, I wonder? So let's look at the mechanism. So we hit play. So obviously that switch there, that's engaged. It doesn't even seem to be losing tension, that's what I don't understand. Pinch roller speed is constant. It's not like it was last time where it was sort of jumping and not actually working at all. That's a puzzling one. Because I don't think there's anything mechanical that's causing it. That is annoying. Sure, we'll get to the bottom of it. Let's fast forward. So that works fine. There's no problem there whatsoever. Rewind works equally as well. But play does lace, all in place. Plays for a short time, unlaces. Let's try pausing it as soon as we hit play. That's interesting. It's not pausing. However, that seems to be playing now and not stopping. So pause doesn't work. Yeah, there's no pause. Not sure why it's doing that. That's unusual. Now it stops. Let's hit pause again, hit play again. It did play for longer that time when we had it on last time, so let's try that again. There must be something that's causing that. And the fact that pause doesn't work does seem to make me think it's possibly a Sys Con issue. I would be interested to see if I'm getting a picture out of it, so let's eject this one. And let's go and fetch. So this one's actually blank, so it's a blank cassette. I was using this one last time when recording on the Panasonic camera. Let's go and fetch a cassette, hook it up to the TV and see what it does. So it's quite interesting what it's actually given us. So if I hit play, that's what we have. Hit pause, obviously mutes the audio. It's getting a control signal because that sound doesn't sound like it's warbling or anything too badly. I wonder if it's as simple as dirty video heads, and the reason why it keeps doing that is because it doesn't detect a picture, so it just stops playback. It would be amazing if that was the case. However, things can never usually be that simple, surely. So let's go and clean the video heads. Before entering the machine, disconnect the power. So power is off, and we will eject the cradle. Got our paper for cleaning the heads. We've also got some switch cleaning lubricant, and so that's Servicol Super 10. Also got Servicol Video 40 for the video heads, audio heads, etc. Now, what I want to do is give some of these switches a bit of a clean. Bearing in mind this is a 40-year-old deck, so it is quite possible we have dirty switches, which could be causing a number of our problems. So we'll use the little tube attachment. We're going to do pause and all of these other little micro switches. Now a little micro switch down here. There's one here. Can't see anymore. Next task is video heads. So tear off some paper, grab some of our Servicol Video 40. There's not much of that left. There we go. Saturate the paper. Place it against the head drum. and rotate the head drum. The other one is we could literally have a head drum that's just worn out. There's also the other possibility. But I didn't think this machine was intelligent enough to stop if it didn't get a picture. The fact it's not pausing is a bit unusual. It mutes the audio, but it doesn't stop the tape path, which is why I still think it's a Sys Con issue, but it would be interesting to clean these heads up anyway. So yeah, there is a bit of dirt on them. Next thing to do is just leave that. I always make the mistake, always, of starting the machine up and ending up with a tape salad, which you don't want. So if we put this back down, get another bit of paper, and we'll give the audio control head a clean up as well. So same approach. There we go. So do the erase head. And that should be it for the moment. So let's just leave this to all dry up. We've got our contact cleaner in various places, and let's just let it all, let's actually put a bit more in these deck switches. There we go. Let's leave that to soak in and dry out, and then we'll give it a go and see what it's like after. So we've left everything to dry for a little bit. Let's hit play. I do wonder if it's duff heads, video heads. Yeah, doesn't look promising, unfortunately. I have another pair of these, albeit they're 3V00s, in a shed. So it might be worth at some point bringing one of those in. Let's focus the camera on my face, that's always fun. So I've got another pair of these in the shed, and what it might be worth doing is bringing those in and seeing if I can get any life out of the deck itself. So I'll probably start with replacing the video head. If that doesn't work, then we can actually take a look at the Sys Con board to see if they're the same board shared between the two machines. The fact that we're not getting anything from the video heads does seem to make me think that we do have an actual very worn set of video heads, video head drum, which is always a possibility. Anyway, certainly not the end of it for this machine. I do have a set of spares, so it would be interesting to see if we can get it going. So, if you found this video useful, certainly from the belt replacing perspective, don't forget to hit that like button, and also consider subscribing for more upcoming fascinating hobbies. It is my desire to grow the channel, to sort of do more videos like this, and obviously more car related videos when the weather improves. It's never fun working outside when it's cold. As I say, hit the like button. What else do people tell you to do? Hit the like button, don't forget to ring that bell, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. Hit the like button, ring the bell, subscribe, like, subscribe, ring the bell. I think that's what I say to do anyway. See you next time. That was really tough.